What is going on? How's everyone doing? This is John Ross. This is TJRS, the John Ross Show. Uh, First off, I want to apologize for my delay. There was a little bit of a technical difficulty, and I initially thought I wasn't going to be able to stream tonight. Got that resolved. However, needed a drink in the middle of the stream, and I couldn't help but get myself one. So, first off, I want to apologize for coming in late. It's been an issue, a technical issue that has now been resolved. So, I know I went on earlier and kind of left. So again, I apologize. I'm back. Hope everyone is doing okay. Had a long day. Hope you guys had a long day. That was good. So I was going through YouTube today, by the way, and I do not know. Oh, by the way, welcome on Twitch and YouTube. Just should throw the intro out there. So I was I was watching YouTube today, and I came across this. I don't know if any of y'all watch Bosch. He's I don't know if he has it up on this on the YouTube yet, but he was on Twitch earlier today because Chelsea Manning and Glenn Greenwald got into it again. Or not, I don't know if they ever got into it, but they got it. Apparently, they've gotten into it, and he talked about it on his show today. Let's see. And I apologize if I'm a little slow in the morning because, again, long day, long hour. Nothing really funny happened today, like I said yesterday. But so Greenwald and Manning got into a very public spat on Twitter, and I can find it. Okay, and I just want to kind of throw this out there. It is no secret where I lay my opinions about Mr. Greenwald. If anyone knows my opinions, I agree with the assessment that he rage quit The Intercept because of quote-unquote censorship, when it really wasn't censorship. It was basically an editing issue. And I'm trying to make my display dark. Okay. So this happened today. Chelsea Manning went on Twitter and said, Glenn Greenwald, I don't have $10,000 right now, but if I get it, I want to send it back to you from a donation you once did. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm terrified of you and everything you do. You're greedy, unprincipled, and I'm embarrassed to forever considering you a friend. Last night, during the floods, I decided I'm no longer going on. I'm no longer going to be afraid of saying what's on my mind anymore, taking a stand on the people that I once considered allies, but who have chosen to bash, harass, humiliate, and intimidate and lie to get it. And then Greenwald responds with with a retweet or a quote tweet. It says, "Friendships that depend on political agreement were never, quote, friendships, just cynical transactions. When she was in prison trying repeatedly to kill herself, I was one of the only who visited. I spent hours on the phone raising money for her. No good deed goes unpunished. Anyway, sometimes people are nice to you as long as you understand let them do things they want. They turn you when you can't stay in. Won't any longer. Yeah, say, uh, people, lots of people on the left. Lots of people on the left. Like Greenwald was ever on the left political agreement. And Vaush responded. And I actually watched a little bit of this today. He said to Greenwald, responding her about the friendship issue, he said, "Nice job accusing her of viewing friendships as transactions and saying you transactionally bought the permanent support by being nice to her while she was, quote, in prison trying to kill herself." Disgusting. And you know what, I've never done this before, but I'll just say simply, I agree. I won't say what I say. I'll say it privately. But I'd hate to start off the show with this kind of stuff, and with this sort of Glenn Greenwald bashing, not bashing, but this bashing by Glenn Greenwald. And again, I make no secrets of my evolving view on Glenn. Considering that he, for years, I remember I considered him, quote unquote, on the left, like many others after the Snowden revelations, and need another drink. That's one of the things you're going to see me do, unfortunately, because I talk way too much, and I'm going to need a drink every few minutes. So I'm going to try to make that less and less a habit. But should I respond? Should I add my feelings or my viewpoint to this? By the way, I mean, I feel like I should say something, if not anything. This kind of just popped out at me earlier today. I was Twitch browsing as per usual. I was Twitch browsing as per usual, and this came out at me. Bosch was talking about this issue with Glenn Greenwald, and I don't know if it's. I'll try to find it. I think it's up on YouTube yet, or it's like a clip on YouTube. But let's see. See anything? No, I don't. I guess he just hadn't posted it yet. Excuse me. Back to YouTube. If anyone's in chat on Twitch and YouTube, while I'm doing this, feel free to leave some comments just in the chat. I'll be sure to throw them up on screen. That sounded so douche. I'll throw your chats up on the screen, and you could have your chat on this guy's Twitch stream. You know what I mean. Just if you want to comment and tell your view on this issue, because I do want to get other people's views, so to speak, or viewpoints, POV, points of view, on this issue, and and see what y'all think. Uh, let's see. Yeah. What am I gonna do? Maybe it's still. I wonder. Um, I think it's on there. Yeah. Uh, I do have something to ask while I'm searching for the video, for that wash video. Um, I would like some suggestions as far as show and what you think I can do to make it better and more interesting. Because I've noticed when I watch the show, when I play back to see how it went, I do sound a little cringeworthy. I sound a little monotone. I sound a little dull. Um, what can be done? Here's something for the chat. If anyone wants to comment. If anyone cares to comment or cares to put their viewpoint in, what can I do to improve this chat? Should I show more video? Should I show less video? Should I talk more? Should I talk less? Should I have more guests on? Should I juggle? Should I dance? Should I scream loudly and into the microphone? What should I do? What shall I do to make this more interesting? Because I'm well aware that I do sound a little boring and dull and indisposed. But I think this might be it. Oh, something about destiny. Okay, hold on. So, like, I will say this. I respect Vouch, as a streamer. I think that you do have to, you know, give your folk a chance. Give your fellow streamers their due. You know, do unto others as you would have done to you. I think that's the way to go. That's my view. That's kind of my social social philosophy of life is do unto others as they've done unto you. And I think for those who are like, oh, you really want to show us about Bosch, because I know that he can be quite controversial. That's a term. True, yeah, absolutely. But aren't we all controversial at the end of the day? Um, Probably should stop talking. Just get to the video. Destiny, on the other hand, that's somebody else that does it. Else's mess. I think it's this one. I think I may have had it pan past it. Oh, yes, I did pan past it.
This is what we're doing. What are we doing right now? Can somebody tell me?
I will give him credit. You know, I will give credit where credit's due. You know, Bosch. I just found out about him like a few months ago, and he seems to be doing well for himself. So even if I don't agree with him, even if I were to find something on his stream that I wouldn't agree with, I'm willing to give credit where credit's due. So, in fact, you know, as far as like having guests on in the future, I would love to reach out to him and have him on as a guest. But anyway, I'll stop talking. Just get to the point. I just get to the point.
Ooh. Anus as like passively legitimized Lauren Southern. That, like, in terms of like moral character and like intelligence, obviously Mike from isn't that literally proof she specifically told him what her critiques of him are? Yeah, well, Glenn Greenwald's playing the cry bully point here. Anyway, Mar. Yeah. Boy, this election proved him wrong. He was an interesting guy. Adam something. Hey, Adam something. With the tier 4 sub, thank you very much. God damn. Too bad the yellow won't shine behind the blue name. Thank you very, very much. Hobbit with the tier 4 sub, thank you very, very much. Likewise, I really appreciate it. Thank you kindly. Cole Cooper, thanks the very kind $10. Yeah, maybe it'd be a fun to look over. CWC, thank you for the $3. Really appreciate that. Can you see my YouTube donation questions? Yeah, I should be able to see all donations here. I'm Cheese115 and that girl called Leia. Thanks tier 1 subs both. Jason here, thanks the 5 gifted tier 1 subs. Really, really appreciate that. Somniostatic with the very kind $20. Guest on the next chat, your JQ memeing. The Pepe posting memes are only really Snake and MF Zoom. Thank you for the $5 both. Really, really appreciate that.
Okay. Just get to the
point. Any, thanks to give you one sub. Cack and Z, thank you. Constantly promotes right-leaning people. He agrees with them. He attacks the left for things the right does. Carl, he cared about him 10 years ago. God damn! I can't do this. I'm gonna put a pin in those. I'll get to them shortly. And let's look onwards. What are we getting to? Some people linked this. What the fuck is going on? Glenn Greenwald, I don't have 10,000 right now, but if I get it, I want to send it back to you from a donation you once did. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm terrified of you and everything you do. You're greedy, unprincipled, and embarrassed for ever considering you a friend. Damn! 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 Chelsea!
Oh, you know.
Chelsea!
I'm definitely going to try to have Bosch on. Definitely.
God damn, Chelsea!
Dude.
For those of you who, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Glenn Greenwald is just on the right now, okay? He, like, somebody cared about
Can't
him.
argue about that.
Nobody cares. Glenn Greenwald is just on the right now. Everything that he does now is exclusively in favor of the right. He called Tucker Carlson a socialist. Literally, he called Tucker Carlson a socialist. He constantly promotes right-leaning people. He agrees with them. He attacks the left for things the right does. He recently, didn't he go on Fox News and say that the Democrat media apparatus is aligned with the CIA, as though Fox News also isn't? Like, as though Fox News also isn't a mouthpiece for, like, state interests? Yeah, no, of course, yeah, but he didn't talk about Fox News. He just talks about, yeah. And then the Glenn Greenwald response. Let's do it. Friendships that depend on political agreement were never friendships, just cynical transaction. When she was in prison trying to repeatedly kill herself, I was one of the only who visited, spent hours on the phone raising money for her. No good deed goes unpunished. Aww. That's so hard for Glenn Greenwald. Being criticized for your behavior by people that you used to get along with. The funny thing is, he's actually doing the thing that he's criticizing her for right now. He's essentially saying that he opens with friendships that depend on political agreement were never friendships, just cynical transactions. And then he's essentially saying that he transactionally bought her agreement. Hold on. Can we ratio him? Chat, I need you to get behind me. Is that not a word? We're buying it. We're putting it in anyway.
I would say, personally, so I put in the chat, for Twitch, YouTube chat, should I have Bosch on as a guest, yeah or no? So keep those, we'll see, but we'll see what happens. I'd like to see, I'm curious maybe to have him on TJRS as a guest, and we can do whatever. We can talk whatever. We can we can talk politics. We can talk media. We can talk lefty. We can shit on people for 2 hours. I will. I won't do any. I won't do any. You know what? On the, when I say that, I mean like big D word, because I can't, because it's illegal, but or supposedly legal. But I would like to have him on and talk about Glenn Greenwald, because I agree. Glenn Greenwald, for better or worse, most likely very much so worse, I should say, is essentially a mouthpiece now for the right wing, no matter what he says or how he says it. He essentially turned his back on everybody on the left. I mean, had the Snowden leaks probably not happened under a Democratic president, the left wouldn't have embraced him. And even in the years subsequent to Snowden, he endorsed Bernie Sanders for president, as well as Edward Snowden. But so ever since last October, when he rage quit The Intercept, I should just, he rage quit The Intercept because of a simple editing process, which he took as a blatant accusation of censorship. He left, and now he's on Substack, promoting his and on Fox News. Yeah. So I saw this today, and it kind of intrigued me to the point where I was like, well, I'm going to talk about this. So anyway, carry on. He says, nice job accusing her of viewing friendships as transactions and saying you transactionally bought her opponent support by.
You need a comma after transactions? Who uses commas on Twitter?
I do. I'll admit, I do. I always have, because I'm a grammar nut. And being in college, you take English classes, writing classes. You got to teach you that shit. According to Randy Taylor. And that's another thing. I'm gonna pause again. That's another thing. Like that illusion. That is the most dangerous thing I've ever ever heard Glenn Greenwald use. By saying that he was there for her when she tried to kill herself. So I'm going to keep it off screen, but so I'm reading this off screen. I'm reading Bosch's response to Greenwald. What he says. This is what he said. Nice job accusing her of viewing friendships as transactions. Then it's saying you transactionally bought her permanent support by being nice to her while she was, quote, in prison, repeatedly tried to kill herself. Disgusting. Yeah, it's definitely disgusting, man. He's using her suicide attempt. That's the proper term for it in prison, as a way to say that he reached out to her and became a friend, and now he's using it against her. And Annie Kasparian, projection is one hell as a hell of a drug. And can't go wrong with that, Casper. Cannot go wrong with that. It is. But anyway.
Nobody uses commas or periods. Okay, are you all ready? Are we ready? Okay, go. Go! I want to see big numbers on this one because I hate Glenn Greenwald for posting that.
That makes two of us.
Go.
That makes two of us.
By the way, when you guys, all you respond with is hello stream, that's cringe, okay? You should be talking about what a bad boy.
That's one of the things I do on Twitch when
Get in there, my warriors.
When I Twitch browse and I just jump on someone's stream, I just respond with an introduction like, "Hey, what's going on?" So I think with Bausch, it's a little different. Is it Bausch or Bosch? I've been pronouncing it Bausch. I think I've been mispronouncing his name. It's Bosch, or his screen name, his Twitch name is Bosch. So if he does see this, dude, I so apologize. And I hate to kind of throw my ego out, but I would love for you to come on the show, man, and we can talk whatever and whenever, and you know, again, we just can't do the big D word. The big D word. So the invite is open. Yeah. So again, I'm gonna throw this up here. Should I have Bosch on as a guest? Yay or nay? Should I have him on as a guest? I should start a poll. I should start a freaking poll. And
my champions. They already did? Yeah, I know they did. Yeah, I don't know why you say hi chat when I'm not even looking there. Very good. Nicely done. Anyway, while we're waiting on that pot to boil, let's take a look at the rest of this. Anyway, sometimes people are nice to you as long as they're of use to them and provide them things they want, then turn on you when you can't or won't any longer. Yeah, so again, this is basically like abuser tactics right here. First of all, he's literally doing this to her right now. And second of all, he's essentially saying I was nice to her so she doesn't get to attack me for my political positions. Like, the hypocrisy of this is fucking astounding. Lots of people on the left, not all, but many mistake friendships for political agreements, such as when the political agreement erodes, for them the friendship does as well. Again, like, yeah. Essentially, you can't criticize my politics because we were friends. Remember when Glenn Greenwald was fear-mongering over, like, trans, like, kids in high school or whatever? I wonder why Chelsea Manning might feel, like, personally threatened. Nicely done, guys. But we need more. Far more. I'm sorry. I noticed there are 8,500 people watching, and yet I don't have 8,500 likes on my tweet. What does that DM screenshot say?
How
Glenn, this
does he?
Tucker Carlson thing's really, really, really off mark. TC is basically organizing as a Nazgul demagogue. You're losing a lot of friends here. Whose side are you on? Oh, cringe. That's not the right
So
whose.
cringeworthy. So unbougie of him.
Sorry, looks like Glenn Greenwald wins this one. Not everyone has a Twitter. Not all of us can be that healthy, okay? Yeah, this is in 2018. Jesus. Isn't that literally proof she specifically told him what her critiques of him are? Yeah, well, Glenn Greenwald's playing the crybaby point here.
Yep. But he always has
Anyway,
been.
as I've long said, this is what left liberal spaces have become. They all turn on each other, denounce each other.
That's what he has become. He has become that wino crybaby for the last, I don't know, since October of last year. So a couple months. I'm gonna like top off my fingers, but oh yeah, I've already pulled that up there. So yeah, Glenn Greenwald has become the crybaby wino since October, when again he rage quit The Intercept because of a stupid charge of censorship, when it really was only an editing issue. I don't know. I could spend an hour. I could spend the whole stream. I could spend hours upon hours upon hours upon hours talking about Glenn Greenwald, because I'll be honest. I was one person that actually liked him. I liked Glenn Greenwald. I thought he was good. I thought he was on our side. I thought, with all the, and again, I was still kind of young, but I was a little younger than I was now. But I was just like, man, this guy's incredible at the time. Again, this is like 2013. And yeah, he saw him. I saw him as part of the left. And even when he left The Intercept, even when he when he started going on Substack, I mean, to his credit, I still, to his credit, he somebody on Twitter is like, to his credit, he's the reason that I started blogging on Substack, because I read his blog. I read his what do you call it? Post. I'll call it that. I read his post on Substack about his whole thing with The Intercept, and I still like The Intercept. I think they're a great organization. They have their flaws and they have their faults, like any other organization does. But at least they're reasonable. They're good. They're great. They're a decent organization, and they are a lot better than a lot of other mainstream media outlets these days. And so yeah, Glenn Greenwald got me started in The Intercept with Substack, and I went into it not knowing the whole picture. I posted without knowing the whole picture. Glenn Greenwald is a hero of mine, which you can still find, which is really, really freaking cringy to read now that I know what I know about him. And I here comes another plug. Met Joe Payne of Political Pain. Watch his show, watch his YouTube show. If he comes on here every once in a while when he can, and kind of give me that moral support. So Joe, if you're watching this, if you do watch it in the future, I hope you're well, man. And hope everything's good with you. I appreciate you. I met him, and he told me the real story. He proceeded to tell me about Matthew Hale, I believe it was. He was like a far right. Matthew Hale was a far right extremist, I wouldn't even say extremist, white supremacist. Uh, he was a neo-Nazi leader and a convicted felon, and Glenn Greenwald represented him. Yeah. Um, BuzzFeed. Dude, I can't find it. I know the website. I know the website. I know what it looks like, but I can't find it. I would screen share it, and I would tell the story, as many others have, about Matthew Hale, about how Glenn Greenwald represented him as a lawyer when he was a trial lawyer. So, as others have said before me, others, and I mean, when I say others, I mean like other leftists, like progressive, like political commentators or podcasters or streamers or whatever. Glenn Greenwald has always been on sort of like he's a libertarian. He's a civil libertarian. His views and Snowden's views line up with one another. So the question was like, what the heck happened to Glenn Greenwald? Why all of a sudden has he been sympathetic to the right? And it's just like, I think Joe's point was maybe he just wasn't really, maybe this, if nothing really happened to him, it was just a ploy. I mean, again, the Snowden leaks happened under a Democratic president, and the left started liking that, or when I say the left, I mean like the progressives, the socialists, or the Dem Socs. We embraced Glenn Greenwald, and we embraced Edward Snowden, called him a hero. And to his credit, I still believe that he's a hero for what he did. I mean, it was bound to come out. I mean, I support Edward Snowden. I support Chelsea Manning. So this is like fire to the fury for me. So I still support Chelsea Manning, which I am unapologetically admit. It is what it is. You can't get everyone to agree with you with being parts of the left. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this off.
Glenn, you're not left liberal. You're a conservative. This is an argument against your position here. This isn't infighting
let
the
me
left.
Just kind of clarify. Like I said, he's a left libertarian. He's a civil libertarian. He embraces the conservative model nowadays, just like how, again, he embraced the liberal model, the left model. He embraces the right now, just in a way that he embraced the left when Snowden happened, and he almost screwed up Ed Snowden. He almost effed it up because he didn't know what to do with the damn material. Go to Ken Silverstein's website, Washington Babylon, and find this piece on Noam Chomsky that mentions Glenn Greenwald. And I think I'm done with this. So I'm going to throw this question up on here. It's probably not going to be the first and the only last time I do it, but for the Twitch people, actually, no, I'm not going to do it. Should I have Walsh on as a guest, yay or nay? And even if you don't put anything in there now, I'll check later, and I'll actually put it on as I'll try to tweet it out. I'll try to put something out. Should I have Walsh on as a guest? And we can talk about anything and everything. If he says yes, if he's in, anything goes. You know what I mean? Like, we can talk about whatever. We can talk about Glenn Greenwald for all I care. We can spend like 3 hours or whatever long he wants or has time for. We can just spend trashing everybody. That'd be a good podcast show. That'd be a good way to improve this show. Have guests on that are for trashing people. Like, when I say trashing people, like doing it in a fair way, in a nice fair way. So, Walsh, the deal's I'm open, man. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Okay. So Glenn Greenwald, and then I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish the whole Glenn Greenwald Silverstein. Um, oh, here it is. This is coming in. I feel good. I feel great. I feel right. Here it is. Yes, this one. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. I found it. And let me put the music back on. So, okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna screen share time. And here we are. So this is the point I'm trying to make about Glenn Greenwald is that he said it real fast. This is the point that I'm trying to make about Greenwald is that this is Ken Silverstein. I keep saying this is a lot. I use the same. I'm like a melodramatic person. I'm like a repeater. I'm such a repeater on this show that I'm boring you all with tears. I bore a lot of people with tears. I know. I bore a lot of people with tears. Okay, so this is Washington Babylon. If I'm saying it right, Babylon. Ken Silverstein, who used to work for the Intercept. I just why he left, I'm not sure. Well, I'm sure, but I have to think back. This is Glenn Greenwald, useful and other useful idiots and cancel culture for it. So this was brought up soon after, like, I think this was what, May of. Oh, this was just a few months ago. So this was like a few months after the infamous Greenwald episode of him leaving the Intercept, and so yeah, demolishing the unwarranted reputation of Glenn Greenwald, great reporter, Pulitzer Prize winner, right outside. You know, also, I think this is a controversial thing. This is very controversial. I think Glenn Greenwald should have his Pulitzer revoked. Yeah, I said it. I'm saying it. I just said it. Glenn Greenwald should have his Pulitzer revoked. Let that sink in for maybe a few minutes. Anyways, did y'all see that? Y'all see that Aim Animation video? The one, the guy who did the animation of Sam Cedar and Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar debate. Where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd like to have people on the show that are like better than I change my mind or sit down and debate where you have like a debate with people." And he's like, "I'm having a what's his name, Ethan Klein from H3, and they just start talking, and he's all Crowder's all nervous, and he's like, 'Oh no, Sam Cedar!' And it's just hilarious, and it's like this whole thing with Cedar. He gets cold. He gets cold feet. He's one of these right winger people that avoid Cedar. It's so good and hilarious. Amen Animation, the YouTube channel, did one with I think earlier with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, where it's just a jumble of crap that they're saying, and Joe, the animated version of Rogan turns into like a 8-figure, like a monkey figure, and Jones turns into one of those frog characters from the Studio Ghibli movie Spirited Away. They're like taking pills and drinking health shakes, and it's just Infowars crap. And like Rogan turns into the, the monkey face or the ape face, and Rogan or Jones turns into like one of the frog characters from Spirited Away. And at the end, he's like, "Oh, anyways." That's where I just get it from. I'm just like, anyway, I should just say it just like that. Just like when I move on to my next topic, it's like, anyways, I'm gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna talk about how, and then I'm gonna speak in an NPR voice into public radio, and I've so veered off from my topic of talking about Glenn Greenwald, so I better get back on it before people start telling me, talk about the issue, you idiot. No, no. Or they will. Demolishing the reputation of Glenn Greenwald, Pulitzer Prize winner, brave outsider, independent journalist, truth teller. Fans believe he is happily a lot easier than it sounds, blah, 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 especially working with the stretch of the Intercept. I'm talking to Silverstein. I shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. Respect to the Intercept and had followed his work for many years, but it also required some time writing senior stories about him and publishing his more than other writers all week long. The introduction and today's two other stories, one about broader toxic ecosphere and operating as a Q&A with a journalist from Brazil that is looking at the country. It's just a start. And yeah, Greenwald becoming a fixture on Fox and Tucker's show and promoting white supremacy or siding with the guy that's siding with someone who is promoting white supremacy and white replacement theory, which is again racist, and he's got a huge fan. And this is all going to be edited out if I do edit it. A lot of my shows are unedited, so what you see is what you get. His fan base is huge, and if you read the commenters on the social media post, it's clear that the lion's share of it is comprised of diehard Trump supporters and other people who think the Earth is flat. What? Who think the Earth is flat? Flat Earthers. It says flat Earthers, but I just had to say it that way. Diehard Trump supporters who believe the Earth is flat. The Earth is round, you. Oh, God. Let me make this clear as possibly as I can. I know many Trump supporters and respect their views. Okay. But I'm also referring to the rancid 20% plus who backed the January 6th terrible Capitol insurrection, which is clownish and dangerous, and many people in Glenn Greenwald's inner ecosphere. You know what I call him? No, I actually call Glenn Greenwald. I call him Glenn Greenbucks because he went for where the money went. He is Glenn Greenbucks from here on out. If anybody who ends up watching the show and responding in chat and saying, hey, you're supposed to call him Glenn Greenbucks because you said he was with money, remind me that I should have like I wish I had a button here. Maybe I have. There we go. Yeah. It's a yell button. It goes like this. There. Enough of that. Yeah, Greenwald is the ringleader and has downplayed this threat. The freaks and ill riders support the attack and no chance of overthrowing the U.S. government. It's equally clear that we are quite capable of calling police officers to defend the love and lawmakers they despise. Anyone thinks otherwise, these cretins, what have done to AOC. Well, I think what these cretins would have done to AOC would be terrible. And had they found her that day, only Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence, I'm not a fan either. Neither am I. I detest their conservative politics, but I do not want to see them. Want to see that happen to them. Those terrible things. And I detest both people. I'm like Kent. Um, but Greenwald and many of his acolytes dismissed the threat posed by the rioters, but the repellent Michael Tracy, this dipshit of a reporter, this dipshit of a so-called journalist, proposing that AOC had no reason to fear that day. And this is what he put. This was in tweets. It's good to know that any loopy delusion expounded by a politician must now be respected and believed under the aegis of trauma. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, dipshit. Anyway. Anyways. However, many people still insist that Greenwald, despite his flaws, is a great journalist, and Snowden, and the work in Brazil, and a great political leader, yes, with Lula da Silva. Former President Luiz Inácio da Silva, better known as Lula, a man I deeply admire, though he and his worker party are without its flaws. Yes, I agree. I like Lula myself, and I can't believe I'm saying his name, but I say it in memory, with respect. Rest in power, Michael. Rest in power. But through Michael Jamal Brooks, I was introduced to the work of Lula, the presidency of Lula Silva, and wherever he is, Michael, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Greenwald's work, of Snowden and Lula, and I'll of course acknowledge its huge significance does not make him a great reporter. Indeed, as I'll show later in the story, he espouses his weakness as a reporter, and indeed he cannot accurately be described as a reporter. He is a lawyer by training, and a lawyer he remains. He is great at building a case, but in doing so, he eliminates all evidence pointing to his clients, or while practicing, quote, journalism for the people he admires, guilt. And then there's a parlor, this is not journalism, it's advocacy. And another sign he is not a journalist, he is incapable of admitting error or questioning his own assumptions. If you disagree with him, you're an idiot and a liar. Yeah, pretty much. That's the world he's been in. That's where I started to turn away from him. I saw my flaw. I saw my error, the error in my ways, when I supported Ben Greenwald initially in post-Intercept. So, yeah, definitely. So, post-Intercept, I do not like that anymore, but I'm going to carry on. Going further. Okay, this is where I'm going. Okay. Great reporter Tim Sharrock has to say about that. Actually, no. Before I get to that, myself here. It's worth noting that amongst real journalists, and I'll include myself here, having practiced the profession for more than 3 decades and not having been a lawyer first, a major impediment, Greenwald is wildly loathed. This is not because people are jealous of him. Who would want to be an arrogant, pathological narcissist like Greenwald? It's because they know he's a fraud, and the real journalists invariably struggle to make a living because they refuse, for example, but more to follow, to opportunistically pretend to be left-wing in Brazil and right-wing in the U.S. And there's a Q&A with Brazilian journalists that Silverstone posted. Real journalists also don't get rich thanks to receiving a huge salary from tech oligarch Pierre Omidyar, which Greenwald did for years at The Intercept and could critically pose as an enemy of the tech oligarchy. Here's what the great reporter Tim Sheriff had this to say about Greenwald. He is the ultimate political coward. I find it astonishing that he picks this critical moment in American history to, one, repudiate the fascist threat from the white nationalist right, and two, argue that the January 6th assault on the Capitol by the white nationalist white right was no threat to a city that is majority black. By trying to appease his fake left friends with his shrill critique of Biden and expanding his right-wing audience by going on Fox, he has shown he has no core beliefs but money. Anyone on the left who thinks he's a principled fighter for justice should have their head examined. Believe me, I did. I did. Okay? I self-examined my head. I shouldn't say it like that. I re-examined my support for Greenwald after reading this. And I've been reading it for the last few months. And subsequent to seeing this and Greenwald's activity on social media, I believe I was right all along. I believe I was right or wrong about him. Okay. Of course, Greenwald will write off criticism from people like Tim and I, who are longtime critics, but even Greenwald's allies and former allies despair at what he's turned into. I'll cite here Noam Chomsky, who I asked for his opinion on Greenwald. I'm going to public exchange because I know for a fact that some people will challenge the context or accuracy of what he said, which was, quote, "He's a friend. He's done wonderful things. I don't understand what is happening now. I hope it will pass." So that's the exchange. But this was Silverstein's response. This was the response to Chomsky, which was, he says, no problem. I understand. You should admire him. I think he's gone off the deep end and appearing on Tucker Carlson now. After TC endorsed white replacement therapy is sickening. I would also say that his reporting is at Max Blumenthal level. Another figure that I want to talk about, but I'll save for another time. Let's see. Nothing interferes with his facts and his big triumphs in Snowden in Brazil, or leaks dumped in his lap. Almost screwed up Snowden because was too lazy and or incompetent, and now documents locked up with tech oligarch Omidar. He also screwed up Brazil leaks and similarly rolls off the tongue, disastrous fashion, as I will explain in story. I'll send a link. Let's just say for now he used a fraction of what he was given, which pissed off Leaker, and appears to have selectively withheld leaked info that was damaging to PT and his husband's party and or of his political allies. He even sparred the Supreme Court. I'm a lefty, and I wrote a book about PT has became corrupt. Who's PT? I have to look that up. Became corrupt and withholding damaging information to protect your allies is not journalism. It is advocacy and shameful. In short, Gigi is a fraud, and he is even worse upon deeper investigation. I will send you a story early next week at latest. Best, Ken. This was Silverstein's response email to Noam Chomsky. Essentially, yeah, he reached out to Chomsky for a comment on the story that he was doing, and Chomsky essentially said he's a friend. I just don't know what's going on with him, but I just don't know. I shouldn't be involved, and I hope he'll just pass on. And essentially, I can't see it because it's kind of small, but Silverstein reached out to Chomsky and was like, I need you to. I'm on deadline here. I want to know if you're going to be involved. Can you say something? And Chomsky said, okay, with reluctance. And he said Chomsky's first comment is pretty devastating, especially coming from a man who many, including myself, believe to be this country's greatest modern intellectual. I agree with that. There are other candidates, but his 1967 essay, Responsibility of Intellectuals, which I've never seen or heard of, but I've seen it. I'll read it in my own time. Alone makes Chomsky a clear-cut top contender. So let me repeat it. He's a friend. has done wonderful things. I don't understand what's happening now. I hope it will pass. Will Greenwald dismiss Chomsky as he will critics like Sherrick and me, or Shorel and me? It's a lot harder trick to pull because he's a longtime fan of Gnomes. In 2013, before he became a Tucker Carlson groupie, he wrote, "Nobody has been subjected to those vapid discrediting techniques more than Noam Chomsky. The book on which I'm currently working on explores how establishment media systems restrict the range of acceptable debate in U.S. political discourse, and I'm using Chomsky's treatment by and ultimately exclusion from establishment U.S. media outlets as a window for understanding how that works." Oh, by the way, in my email to Noam, which I asked to go on the record, I mentioned a former Washington Post report. That was John Jeter, who more specifically is a former Post bureau chief and two-time Pulitzer Prize finalist, who currently works as a senior editor at Telesur. I've seen that network before. So he's not exactly a lamestream media hack. Here's what Jeter had to say about Greenwald, especially his reporting from Brazil and messages he sent to me on Facebook. I think I have LSD's coming on, but I'm going to try to get through this. Greenwald, I believe, this is John Jeter again, from the Post, from WashPo. Greenwald, I believe, exemplifies all that is wrong with the Fifth Estate today. While he's an awful writer, it's his reporting, or lack thereof, that is truly appalling. His coverage of Brazilian politics makes my blood boil. I have never seen an interview in Ordinary Brazilian, nor him interview an Ordinary Brazilian, nor does he seem cognizant of the fact that Brazil imported more slaves than any country in the New World, and all of their problems today must be viewed in that context. If the cops and vigilantes in Brazil murdered the same number of unarmed citizens as the cops in the U.S., black Brazilians would be dancing in the streets. In the prison interview he did with Lula tells him that this is racism and the afterlife of slavery that got him locked up for doing even most minimal things for Brazil's blacks. Greenwald looked at him like he was explaining Einstein's theory of relativity in Japanese and launched into a broadside about the crime in Brazil, i.e. what the country's white elites talk about. Back to Chomsky. I should note that I don't always agree with him, though I usually do, and in the case of his current assessment of Greenwald. This is Silverstein talk saying, this is Silverstein's words, not mine. I generally agree with Chomsky on most things, but I find him to be a great linguist, a great intellectual, a great philosopher. I mean, you can't go wrong with Chomsky. I was introduced to Chomsky through his late friend Howard Zinn, which I think progressives should really, if you're progressive, if you're on the left, you should really read A People's History of the United States. I'm just saying. Find a copy of A People's History of the United States and read the hell out of it. It will blow your freaking mind. I'm not kidding. I am so not kidding. Read that book and then read Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent. I say they're two of a kind. They're two different subject matters. Zinn's, okay, anyway, I'll probably say that. Back to Chomsky. I don't agree with him. I agree. However, I disagree in part of his saying that Greenwald has quote, done wonderful things. That's technically accurate, but I'll keep this short because I'll be expanding on all these points below. Others have made in some introduction during the week. Greenwald blundered his way into the Snowden leak story because he initially thought it might be too much work, and ended up screwing it up. For example, this is one of many I would not consider it as a wonderful thing to cite Chomsky. That the only tiny fraction of the Snowden leaks were ever made public are now in the personal property tech oligarch Pierre Omidyar. Facts which I'm sure the NSA is quite pleased with. Yeah, very much. I'm pretty sure that NSA is very pleased with. They've got all that material that will be locked up and not seen for the American public until another whistleblower, maybe a true whistleblower like Chelsea Manning, comes around and is able to legally get that sort of material and make it public. Anyway, Greenwald also screwed up, though that is a kind way of putting what he did, which were leaks. The leaks provided to him in Brazil. While his work led to his release from prison, and that is huge, he played a dirty political game that shows he's an advocate, not a journalist. The bottom line is my colleague at Washington Babylon, and Andrew Stewart, and he says this. Mr. Stewart said this: Glenn Greenwald is not a journalist, and he never has been. This isn't a case of bad journalism. He never was one, and his pretensions to the contrary are a fraud. When Snowden dropped the leaks on him and Laura Poitras, they had no idea what they were doing. What they had, or what to do with the material, or they had no idea what they were doing, what they had, or what to do with the material. They had to call in Ken Silverstein, the author of this article, and other reporters who helped them understand the material. This is proof that he isn't a journalist. I'm sorry to get wound up, but this really makes my blood boil. Just like any other lefty, any other progressive leftist that I identify as, that hopefully identifies with the same kind of left politics that I do. Progressive left politics, I should say, would feel the same way. And I'm sure that this happened when they had to call Silverstein in, and that happened when he stole the Intercept, when Kent stole the Intercept. Gigi had no way of verifying. Gigi. Crack myself up. Had no way of verifying or vetting the Hunter Biden laptop issue because he was in Brazil. He was obviously plotting for months with Matt Taibbi to drop Substack. It was written all over their faces in the Katie Halper podcast interviews, and his censorship is a useful excuse. I should say quote censorship because it's in quotes. He refused to do any his refusal to do any journalism proves he isn't a journalist. His antics with Laura Ingraham getting the rabid hyenas into a feeding frenzy and doxing Intercept journalists is absolutely outside of the professional boundaries and ethics of journalism. Because he never has been a journalist. Bloggers, on the other hand, do this shit all the time. As a blogger, I say to myself, I plead the fifth. Is that how you do it? You plead the fifth? That as I blog on Substack, I can say that is absolutely true. And I've read other blogs do it all the time. We legally and consensually can cross the ethics of journalism in a safe, respectful, positive way without getting anybody in trouble, or maybe we might get somebody into trouble, but you know, hopefully not in a big way that gets people, that flares up the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah. I keep noting, expanding this in the week. After that, I'm done with Greenwald, and I hope you are too. So this is what. There was an impassioned legal defense of Matthew Hale, a white supremacist and neo-Nazi leader. I do believe every person is entitled to a lawyer, but I don't believe every criminal defendant is entitled to having his or her lawyer fall in love with him, as Greenwald did, metaphorically, with Hale, to the point he savaged Hale's critics, including amazing organizations like the Center for Constitutional Rights. I'll also emphasize Greenwald's pathological narcissism, a trait that makes it impossible to be a great journalist. His friend said on Facebook, other useful idiots. He reminds him of Hitchens. The core narcissistic desire turns into the forms of principle, and the requisite abstractions are involved to justify the new views needed for relevance. Libertarianism, anti-fascist, muckraking, gadflying, etc. all sound nice, but ultimately they're only here to justify whatever noises get these blowhards noticed, discussed, and debated over. Look at me, shouts the narcissist in desperation. What? This is a big time. This one is the other one. Other than the Hale revelation, is this. There's the story of Reality Winner, which the Intercept put in prison. A story which Greenwald plays a role in, even though he I'll just say voraciously denies it and blames anyone and everyone else at the publication, sometimes but not always correctly, always to obscure his own guilt. There's also his support for the 2003 Iraq War, which is the greatest journalistic crime in modern times, even worse than Russiagate, which Greenwald is largely but not entirely right about. Greenwald, he also lies about having once supported the war. The evidence strewn about everywhere, as in this story, Glenn Greenwald's hilarious denial of any support for the Iraq War. He was asked. Greenwald confessed to general political apathy that in his book, How Would a Patriot Act, and admitted that despite his doubts about the war, quote, I had not abandoned my trust in the Bush administration. Between the president's performance in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, the swift removal of the Taliban in Afghanistan, and the fact that I wanted the president to succeed, because my loyalty is to my country and he was the leader of my country, I still gave the administration the benefit of the doubt. I believed then that the president was entitled to have his national security judgment deferred to, and to the extent that I was able to develop a definitive view. I accepted his judgment as American security really would be enhanced by the invasion of this sovereign country. Yeah, I don't see how that would come out of such and such as a liberal or a leftist. I won't even call Glenn Greenwald a liberal, because of course he never was. Yeah, I mean, and we just go on and on and on. I can go on about the article and read it, but basically, in reading this, the point is this. The point is this, always has been, always will be. Glenn Greenwald never has, never was, and never will be a journalist. He's an advocate, and he never was a leftist either. That's the one thing I've learned. Well, those are the many things I've learned, not the one thing. The fact that he never was a journalist was a revelation that I came to grips with. I also have come to grips with that he's never that he never was a journalist. So yeah, all tying it with the Bausch conversation. Yeah, so that's my view. That's my somewhat, hopefully, explicit, vague, agreeable view on Glenn Greenwald, because I haven't ever talked about people like him. I have privately with other, I can't keep saying them, progressive left people, like small indie progressive left people that I respect, but I can't help but post or plug their shows because they're just so great people. Those are the true great people. And I also, want to bring this up. I fear because, again, I appreciate him. I'm a fan. Always have been. I've been since his days at Rolling Stone. I know that he too I think before Greenwald, he went to Substack and eventually took Useful Idiots with him. He and Katie Hufford both took that show with him to Substack. And when his book Hate Inc. came out, I read it with anticipation and found the book, in all honesty, to be very, very good and decent and on point. Um, but I worry that that Matt Taibbi is slowly, if not already, going into that veil of agreeing with Greenwald. I like a lot of bits of the left wing, the far. Or not, I keep saying left wing, keep saying far left. I like a lot of pieces of the pie, shall I say, of the progressive left. Some people I've been following for years, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it, and no matter how many times people who watch this get tired. I've been following people like TYT, people like Matt Taibbi for years. TYT has been since 2008. Matt Taibbi, Rolling Stone days. They're different. They're different now, but they used to be aligned with one another. And they're both great influences on me, as a upcoming, progressive media figure or podcaster or streamer, whatever you want to call it. I could, barely call myself a journalist these days because, I don't like, in a way, unfortunately, like Greenwald. I don't mean to contradict here, but unfortunately, kind of like Greenwald. I don't really have the flair. I don't think I really had the flair for journalism, but that can be taken out of context. I wanted to be a journalist since I was 13, and I've just looked at other ways of media work, whether it be print, broadcasting, print, radio, TV, this new medium, this new broadcasting medium, which is streaming and podcasting and blogging. The whole do-it-yourself model I've embraced, just like a lot of other people have done. But again, back to what I was saying, with Taibbi, I worry because I've been following him for years, and I still think of him as a great journalist. I still think of him as a great writer, as a great author. I subscribe to a Substack. A lot of stuff that he'll say that I don't agree with, but like my view is like, who am I to judge? My attitude is just like, who am I to judge what he says? I just feel like even though he's good people, he should, my suggestion would be that Taibbi questions a little bit of Greenwald's methods. But again, maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But in any event, I'm gonna lay my cards on the table and say, I like Greenwald. I like Taibbi. I like TYT. I've already gotten a lot of crap from people on Twitter who openly admitting that. And I know that I'll get a lot more crap after this goes out. Because I've been called everything under the sun for my fanship of TYT. And again, I've been a fan since 2008. I've been called a pet. I've been called a sicko. I've been called every little thing under the sun, and I don't care. I don't. You can call me whatever you want. I'm still here. I'm still standing. So, what time is it? It's 9:30. Managed to make it out. Let's see. Well, since I came on, later than usual, I might stay on for a little longer. Let's see. So I'm gonna actually gonna throw this up here again. Should I have Vouch? You know what? Should I even? This is gonna be so weird. This is gonna be so weird. I don't know if I should do it. Um, should I tweet at him? Should I? Should I tweet at Bosch? The thing is, like, I don't want to be the one to be like, "Hey, come on my show, you know." I just like to have him on. I just like, "Hey, Vouch, I know, man, I know you're busy and I know you got a lot on your plate, but you think maybe you'd like to come on and just have a conversation, or maybe have an important conversation about political media, left political media, and its ups and downs, pros and cons, lefts and rights, and yays and nays. You know, we can do that. I'd like to do that. I can promise you that it could go either one way or the other. But I don't know. That feeling is turning my head. So that option is completely turning my head. Well, I know I said it'd be on for a little longer, but I think that's about it I'm going to do for tonight. Yeah, I need to hit the hay. There's other stuff I got to do. You know, and I'm just blanking out tonight. So I apologize once, I should say, last night about not staying on longer. My voice just was not up to par with streaming, and I thought I need to get both the rest. I apologize also for coming on a little later than usual because the equipment issue, which has been resolved. Initially, I had posted no stream tonight, and then when I realized that the equipment was working, I was like, I take that back. There's going to be a stream. So this is a little hastily put together, but this is technically night 3. So I'm halfway through my first full week of night shows, which I think is cool. I'm going to do this more often. I'm definitely going to do this more often. Maybe I should get a hat, like a baseball cap, just wear it. I think to send out, I'm going to play this clip. I know I played it several nights before, but earlier this week. I was actually going to play it as my intro, and then I scrapped that. I was like, can't do that. So, okay, hold on. This will be that's in the wrong order. But, okay. Okay, so it's not. It's muted. Hold on. Hold the phone. Okay. I'm getting excited feeling about this. Yes, it's this. It's this clip right here. This freak out of TJ Sonomar when he realized that Dave's a gay man. It's just so funny. I play this clip, and people ask me, "Why the hell do you keep playing this, Ross?" Because it's freaking funny. That's why. It's so funny.
Interview, one of Sotomayor's fans broke the news to him, and here's how he reacted.
Stephen said, they hate Dave Rubin because he's a gay man with the wrong opinion. Dave Rubin is gay? No! He got a husband? I did not know. I was in his presence. I didn't know. I shook his hand. I sat down with him. Why did y'all tell me before I went on the show? Oh, Steven, why would you send me this? Oh my God, Steven, you ruined my day.
That is too funny. Oh, that is hilarious. It just never gets old. Oh, good God. The joys of doing this. How about one more time? One more time before I, one more time before I, that I have to say left is best and head out of here. Dave is gay. Oh shoot! I had
Oh,
shoot.
he got a husband. Ruben is gay. Said they hate Dave Rubin because he's a gay man with the wrong opinion. Dave Rubin is gay. No, he got a husband. I did not know. I was in his presence. I didn't know. I shook his hand. I sat down with him. Why did y'all tell me before I went on the show? Oh, Steven, why would you send me this? Oh my God, Steven, you ruined my day.
Oh, that never gets old. Oh, oh, jeez. Just never freaking gets old. I shook his hand. Oh, jeez. I gotta find more stuff like that. Even though it's old, it's still funny. It's still hilarious. It's still memorable. It's still memorable. Anyway, so that about wraps it up for night number 4 of TJRS. No, night number 3, because I'm doing a compromise night number 3 for my my duck out for the voice issue. So talked about Glenn Greenwald, talked about Bausch, played a Dave Rubin, TJ Sotomar clip for the jokes, for the humor. Thanks to the one viewer that watched my show. And of course, show this one more time. Should I have Bausch on as a guest? Should I reach out to him? This is for the Twitch and YouTube chat. Yay or nay? So I will leave that. I will make my decision. I'll reach out to him. Hopefully soon. But so thanks for hanging with me. That one good person that decided to watch my show. Hopefully I'd have more, but I'm gonna just, as I said, I'm still new at this. I'm gonna have to just wait and be patient and keep going as I go along. And I did actually mean what I said with what can I do to make the show better, to make it more watchable. So should I have people on like Bausch or otherwise as guests? Because I've done it before. I did a show with Parker Shockman, who I'd like to have on. What's coming up the next couple weeks? Charlie R.C. Roberts from Substack. I can't remember his Substack name. Why am I talking about him when I can't remember his Substack? I'm searching for the Substack. Charlie Roberts. R.C. Charlie R.C. Roberts is he like? Uh, okay. From okay, so Charlie R.C. Roberts from Ferocia Enemy. Enemy. I think that's how you say it. Ferocia Enemy. Let me screen share one more time. Well, I won't screen share. I'm done with screen share for tonight. Um, we've been kind of talking privately over DM and chatting about him coming on. He's expressed interest in coming on the show, and I have said that I would be delighted to have him on. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to just kind of come on the show and talk about what he's been writing in his Substack, Ferocia Enemy. I don't know how to spell that. It's at ferocia.substack.com, and go check it out. I may just leave a link for YouTube, and I'm hoping to talk to him again. So in the next few weeks, we will have him on as a guest. Also, been thinking of having Karthik Purushottam on to talk about different political. Actually, talk about aliens. That's something to talk about. We're going to talk to in the next few weeks Karthik Purushottam to talk about aliens. The many things that I think can make the show better is just having weird subjects, weird people's different interests that may seem weird to others, but interesting to someone like myself. And that's no diss on those interests. You know, I would love. I'm hoping to have Karthik on to talk about his latest UFO alien story. R.C. Roberts to talk about his latest Substack, his maybe critical theory, philosophy, state of the world, kind of thing, which is something really good, something that is of my interest. And there'll be a lot of surprises, a lot of nooks and crannies coming up, hopefully in the next few weeks. So, like and subscribe to everything. So anyway, you can catch this show, TJRS, on Twitch and YouTube, Monday to Friday, 7 to 10. Again, sorry for the late exit, sorry for the early exit, sorry for the late. So tomorrow I hope to go for the full hour. So 7 to 10 for sure tomorrow, Twitch and YouTube. I'm going to try to make it as on time as possible. So I know I sound a little premature at times. Oh, scary. Read me on Substack, TJRS.substack.com. I, of course, blog there maybe once a week. Although it's kind of dormant. I'll be writing a remembrance of Ed Asner, the two-time SOG Screen Actors Guild president and Democratic Socialist, DSA member, actor. Many of us know from Mary Tyler Moore, but Russ Millennials, Carl Fredrickson Up, and Santa Claus and Elf. That's coming up in a few weeks, so check that out. Social media, obviously, Twitter handle at John Ross 1992. Facebook is John Ross. Twitch is Jonathan Ross. YouTube is it's my ego. My name is basically my handles, which is not always a good thing. And also, if you can, if you will, if you must, if you want to, you don't have to, donate to the Patreon at patreon.com/TJRS. It's what helps keeps the show going. It's what helps keep the wheels go round. And also, like and subscribe. I do see the views, and they're pretty decent. So, doesn't have to get a whole bunch of views. I'm not asking for like 1,000. I'm not thinking that there's going to be like 1,000 people watching one whole show on day one in one day. But at least I know I have a little small group of people that are liking what I'm doing. So yeah, that's about it. So hope y'all have a good night. See you tomorrow night rather. Left is best. Rest in power, Michael Brooks. Rest in power. Asner, and I will see you then.